Praise be Jesus and Mary. Welcome to the Pulse Laboratory session in Human Physiology and Pathophysiology, presented by Group 2, focusing on activities 14 to 17 that delve into various muscle groups, integrate workings, and the nervous system's fundamental aspects. In this session, get ready to witness the marvels of the human body and let's commence our journey into understanding the dynamics of the muscles of the head and neck, the muscles of the torso, the nervous system, and the spinal cord and somatic nerves. Let's begin.
The post-laboratory session aims to solidify the concepts learned during laboratory activities 14 to 17. Each focus on the intricate workings of various muscle groups and fundamental aspects of the nervous system in human physiology and pathophysiology. This session serves as a platform for students to deepen their understanding of these topics through interactive discussion and practical applications. By delving into the complexities of muscle groups and the nervous system, students will gain a comprehensive insight into the functioning of these physiological systems and their importance in overall human health. And these are the following objectives. First, comprehensive understanding. The primary objective is to enhance students' understanding of the dynamics and interactions of muscles in the head, neck, and torso, as well as the nervous system, spinal cord, and somatic nerves. Second, integration of theory and practice. Students can integrate theoretical knowledge with practical applications from laboratory activities. This integration will aid in bridging the gap between theoretical concepts and real-world physiological phenomena. Third, critical thinking and analysis. Encourage students to critically analyze the structure and function of different muscle groups and nervous system components. This will promote a deeper level of thinking and understanding of the complexities involved in human physiology. And lastly, application of physiological concepts. Emphasize the relevance of understanding these muscles groups and nervous system components in the context of pathophysiology. Students will be encouraged to explore how these functions in the system can lead to various health conditions and diseases.
In this part, we will explore the muscles' intricate workings and functions in various vital processes such as facial expressions, speech, and swallowing. Get ready to dive into the fascinating world of the muscles contributing to the complex movements and expressions of the head and neck. Let's uncover the secrets of these vital muscles and their significance in human anatomy and physiology. Today, we will dive into the elaborated network of muscles in the neck and their functions. The neck is often overlooked, plays an important role in supporting our head and facilitating various movements. The neck muscles consist of several groups, each serving distinct purposes in maintaining stability and enabling motion. These muscles are categorized into superficial and deep layers. The superficial muscles such as sternocleidomastoid and trapezoids are responsible for primary movements like rotation, flexion, and extension of the head and neck. Next is the deep muscles such as scaleness and splenocapitis, wherein both are the ones who assist in breathing, stabilize the cervical spine, and enable finer movements like lateral flexion and rotation. Let's dive into the more several muscles of the neck including the sternohyoid, sternothyroid, omohyoid, digastric, and mylohyoid, and platysma. The sternohyoid and the sternothyroid muscles provide stability to the hyoid bone and contribute to swallowing and speech functions. The digastric muscles with two bellies help in opening the mouth and elevating the hyoid bone during swallowing. The mylohyoid muscles forms the floor of the mouth and assists in elevating the hyoid bone and tongue during swallowing and speaking. Lastly, the platysma muscle located in the superficial layer of the neck aids in facial expressions and movement of the lower jaw. These muscles play an essential role in various functions such as swallowing, speech, and facial expressions. Let us now utilize what we have learned by pinpointing where the muscles of the neck and the dorsolateral view are located with the help of our feline friend named Kitty. Beginning with the infrasimus muscle situated on the cat's scapula, it aids in stabilizing and rotating the shoulder joint. Next, the levator scapulae ventralis muscle, positioned beneath the cat's scapula, contribute to the shoulder movement and stability. Moving forward to the scalus muscle, running along the sides of the cat's neck, assisting in breathing and supporting neck movement. The levator scapulae muscles located in the dorsal aspect of the cat's neck, help in elevating the scapula and shoulder movement. Further down the neck, we find the rhomboides capitis muscle, aiding in stabilizing the head and neck region. Finally, the clavotrapezoid muscle, spanning from the clavicle to the scapula, provides support and mobility to the shoulder girdle. Next, we carry on in locating the muscles of the neck in a ventral view. Let's start with the gastric muscle. It is visible that acts as two bellies on either side of the cat's neck. This muscle aids in opening the mouth and elevating the hyoid bone during swallowing. Next, we have the mylohyoid muscle forming the floor of the mouth in the cat. It assists in elevating the hyoid bone and tongue during feeding and grooming activities. Moving on, we can identify the sternohyoid muscle running along the ventral aspect of the neck in the cat. It provides stability to the hyoid bone and supports swallowing movements, and alongside the sternohyoid, we have the sternothyroid muscle, contributing to the cat's ability to vocalize by adjusting the position of the larynx. Additionally, the cleidomastoid muscle located on the side of the neck aids in tilting and rotating the head, allowing the cat to explore its surroundings with ease. Lastly, we can't forget the sternomastoid muscle, which helps in both neck flexion and rotation, assisting the cat in grooming and maintaining awareness of its environment. Lastly, we move on and zoom to the muscles of the head of our feline friend. We have the occipitalis muscle, located at the back of the cat's head, aiding the head's movement and stability. The temporalis muscle, situated on the side of the cat's head, facilitates jaw movement for chewing and biting. Next, we have the external auditory meatus, visible as the opening leading to the cat's ear canal, allowing for sound and transmission and reception. Lastly, the mesentery muscle, prominent along the cat's cheek, plays a vital role in closing the jaw during chewing and biting activities. That's all for Activity 14.
Good day, everyone. We will now move forward and unravel the intricate network of muscles that power the expressions and movements of the human head. Let's define each part of the muscles of the head first. Here, I present it on the table so it be easy to explain. First is the frontalis muscle. It raises the eyebrows and creates horizontal wrinkles on the forehead. Next, we have the occipitalis muscle. The occipitalis muscle pulls the scalp posteriorly, completing the paired action with the frontalis muscle. Together, they are sometimes collectively referred to as the occipitofrontalis muscle. Alongside are the orbicularis oculi and the orbicularis oris muscles. On the other hand, the orbicularis oris is a sphincter muscle around the mouth that closes and puckers the lips. Both muscles play crucial roles in facial expressions and protecting the eyes and mouth. Next, we have the corrugator supercilii muscle. Its function is to furrow the eyebrows, contributing to expressions of concentration or concern. Moving forward to the zygomaticus major and the zygomaticus minor muscles. These muscles originate from the zygomatic bone and elevate the corners of the mouth by pulling them superiorly and laterally, creating expressions like smiling or laughing. The risorius muscle, also involved in smiling, pulls the lips laterally and does not have a bony origin but attaches to the facial muscles. Next are the mentalis and buccinator muscles. In contrast, the buccinator muscles runs horizontally across the cheek and helps pucker the cheeks. Examples are while chewing or playing a musical instrument. Lastly is the depressor labii inferioris and the levator labii superioris muscle. On the other hand, the levator labii superioris muscle raises the upper lip and helps expand the nostrils, typically seen in expressions of extreme disgust. In the pictures provided, we are able to see the locations of the muscles of the head. In the lateral view, we can identify the frontalis muscle, responsible for raising the eyebrows and creating horizontal wrinkles on the forehead, and its counterpart, the occipitalis muscle, which assists in retracting the scalp. In the anterior view, we can encounter the orbicularis oculi muscle, encircling the eye, responsible for blinking and squinting. and the orbicularis oris muscle surrounding the mouth, facilitating actions like puckering and kissing. We can also find the zygomaticus major and the zygomaticus minor muscles, which elevate the corners of the mouth, contributing to smiling. We can also see the mentalis muscle located on the chin that aids in wrinkling and the chin and protruding the lower lip, while the buccinator muscle situated in the cheek assists in compressing the cheeks during actions like blowing and sucking. Lastly, we have the depressor labii inferioris and levator labii superioris muscles, which respectively depress and elevate the lower and upper lips, playing a role in various facial expressions and speech articulation. In the pictures provided, we're able to see the locations of the muscles of mastication in superficial view. First up, you have the temporalis muscle, situated on the side of the head, originating from the temporal bone and inserting onto the mandible. As I mentioned before, it is a muscle aids in closing the jaw and chewing movements. Moving down to the jawline, we find the masseter muscle, one of the strongest muscles in the human body. It originates from the zygomatic arc and inserts onto the mandible, playing a primary role in elevating the jaw during chewing and biting. Lastly, we have the pterygoid muscles, including the medial and lateral pterygoid muscles. These muscles are located deep within the jaw region and contribute to lateral and protrusive movements of the jaw, crucial for chewing and speaking. In the pictures provided, we're able to see the locations of the muscles of mastication in superficial view. First up, you have the temporalis muscle, situated on the side of the head, originating from the temporal bone and inserting onto the mandible. As I mentioned before, it is a muscle aids in closing the jaw and chewing movements. Moving down to the jawline, we find the masseter muscle, one of the strongest muscles in the human body. It originates from the zygomatic arc and inserts onto the mandible, playing a primary role in elevating the jaw during chewing and biting. Lastly, we have the pterygoid muscles, including the medial and lateral pterygoid muscles. These muscles are located deep within the jaw region and contribute to lateral and protrusive movements of the jaw, crucial for chewing and speaking.
Welcome in our discussion on the activity conducted regarding the muscles of the torso. Today, we'll delve into the intricacies of these vital muscles, exploring the experiments conducted to understand their functions and behavior better. Understanding the muscles of the torso is fundamental for grasping human anatomy and functional movement. This knowledge not only aids in injury prevention, but also serves as a cornerstone for fitness, rehabilitation, and sports performance. By delving into the intricacies of the torso musculature, individuals gain insights crucial for promoting health, wellness, and interdisciplinary learning. The muscles of the torso, also known as the core muscles, encompass a group of muscles that provide stability and support to the spine and pelvis while facilitating movement of the trunk. Key muscles include the rectus abdominis, the internal and external obliques, and the transverse abdominis. Additionally, muscles such as the erector spinae and quadratus lumborum contribute to back support and posture. Understanding the anatomy of these muscles is crucial for comprehending human movement and maintaining proper body mechanics. The abdominal muscles support the trunk, allow movement, hold organs in place, and are distensible, meaning they are able to accommodate dynamic changes in the volume of abdominal contents. It also has four main muscles: the rectus abdominis, external and internal oblique muscles, and the transversus abdominis. The rectus abdominis is long between the ribs and the pubis at the front of the pelvis. This is the washboard that is in the middle of the anterior abdominal walls. This provides strong flexion and compresses the abdominal wall. The external oblique muscle is a diagonal abdominal muscle that helps with trunk movement and stability. It assists in bending sideways, twisting, and supporting the spine during various activities. The internal oblique muscle is a deep abdominal muscle located beneath the external oblique. It runs in the opposite direction of the external oblique, with fibers running diagonally upward and inward. The primary function of the internal oblique muscle is to assist in trunk flexion, rotation, and lateral flexion, similar to the external oblique. The transversus abdominis is a deep abdominal muscle that acts like a corset, providing stability to the core and spine. Its main function is to compress the abdominal contents, support the spine, and maintain posture during movement. Postural muscle. The erector spinae muscles make up most of the postural muscles of the back. The erector spinae are actually many muscles that are located between individual vertebrae or between the vertebrae and the ribs. These are the three groups of the erector spinae. The spinalis is part of the erector spinae group, which is located along the spine. Its function primarily involves extending and laterally flexing the spine. The longissimus, another component of the erector spinae group, is situated alongside the spine. It functions primarily in extending and laterally flexing the spine, aiding in maintaining posture and providing stability during movements like bending, backward, or to the side. The iliocostalis is part of the erector spinae group and is located alongside the spine, next to the longissimus. Its function is to aid in maintaining posture, providing stability, and also assists in rotational movements of the torso. The thoracic muscles. The thoracic muscles is located in the thoracic region of the body, which encompasses the chest and upper back area. These muscles play vital roles in supporting the rib cage, facilitating breathing, and enabling movements of the upper body. The serratus anterior is a muscle on the side of the rib cage that helps move the shoulder blade forward and around the rib cage. It is essential for reaching, pushing, and lifting movements, and it also assists in rotating the shoulder blade upward. The diaphragm is a primary muscle involved in breathing. It separates the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity and plays a crucial role in the mechanics of inhalation and exhalation. The external intercostalis is located between the ribs and assists in the inhalation process by elevating the ribs. This expansion of the rib cage increases the thoracic cavity's volume, creating negative pressure which allows air to flow into the lungs. The internal intercostalis located between the ribs and assists in the exhalation process by depressing the ribs. This action decreases the thoracic cavity's volume, helping to expel air from the lungs. The transversus spinal muscles. The transversus spinal muscles are a group of deep muscles located in the back that run along the spine. They include muscles such as the multifidus and semispinalis. These muscles play a key role in stabilizing and supporting the spine, as well as contributing to the movements such as extension, rotation, and lateral flexion of the vertebral column. They are essential for maintaining proper posture and spinal alignment. The semispinalis is part of the transversus spinal muscle group located deep in the back. It runs along the length of the spine and plays a crucial role in stabilizing and supporting the vertebral column. The multifidus is also a deep muscle located along the spine. It runs from the sacrum to the cervical vertebrae and plays a vital role in stabilizing and supporting the spine. It helps control small movements between individual vertebrae, contributing to spinal stability and proper alignment. The multifidus muscle is particularly important for maintaining posture, supporting the spine during movement, and preventing injury.
A cat's abdomen spanning superficial to the deep layers of the features are complex networks of muscles that provides mobility support, and more. The xiphi humerales, which is located on the upper left of the cat's abdomen, is a muscle that extends from the xiphoid cartilage to the proximal end of the humerus. Below that is the tendinous intersection, is a muscle that is crossed by three fibrous bands. One is usually situated at the level of the umbilicus, one at the extremity of the xiphoid process, and a third about midway between the two. Below that situates the rectus abdominis, compresses the abdominal cavity and flexes the vertebral column. This movement is often seen when a cat arches its back to take a threatening posture. On the upper side sits the transversus abdominis, originates from the posterior ribs and the transverse process of the lumbar vertebrae. The fibers of this muscle extends ventrally and attach to the linea alba by the aponeurosis. Below that is where the external abdominal oblique lies. This forms the most superficial of the three layers of the abdominal muscles. When we go lower than that, we will see the internal abdominal oblique. It compresses the abdominal contents. It is laterally flexes and rotates the vertebral column. In the center, we can see the rectus sheath. It protects the muscles and the vessels to which it encloses. In addition, keeping the rectus abdominis and the pyramidalis muscle together helps in providing maximal compression. The thorax of the cat in lateral view. The cat's thorax muscular architecture from neck to abdomen, pectoral to intercostal muscles, along with other vital respiratory functions, facilitate agility and maintain the thoracic cavity integrity. Let's embark on a concise exploration of these thoracic muscles and their significance in a feline anatomy. There are three muscles that are prominent in lateral view: the internal intercostal, located in the intercostal spaces between the ribs. These consist of fibers that can run from the cranial aspect of the tone rib to the caudal aspect of the preceding rib in a cranioventral direction. The serratus anterior muscle, a serrated or saw-tooth muscle on the cat's side, stabilizes the scapula during the movement by protracting and upwardly rotating it. Extending from the scapula to the ribs, the external intercostal muscles run obliquely from the upper rib to the lower lip. They contract during inhalation, elevating the ribs and expanding the thoracic activity, increasing lung volume and facilitating air intake. The anterior deep muscles of the cat in dorsal view. The anterior deep muscles span from the neck to the pelvis, providing a robust support system for precise movement. This dorsal view of the cat's anatomy highlights their importance. The spleen is referred to as the most superficial of all the deep muscles, is in the mid-dorsal line of the neck and the fascia, characterized by its thin, broad sheet of muscle underneath the clavotrapezus and deflecting it. It is crossed also by the rhomboides capitis. It is the capital part of the rhomboid muscle as a strap-like muscle detached from the rhomboides cervicis, located on the tendinous rear of the neck and occipital bone. The vertebral border of the scapula refers to the medial edge or margin of the scapula bone that runs parallel to the spine or the vertebral column. This border is located on the side of the scapula that is the closest to the cat's spine. Next is the rhomboides major. It is a thick, large muscle below the trapezius muscle. If there's a major, then there's a minor. The rhomboides minor is a small cylindrical muscle that consists of two layers, the dorsal and the ventral. They partially envelop the levator scapulae inferiorly. Below that lies the spinous trapezius. It can be identified as a broad, flat muscle that arises from the thoracolumbar fissure and the spinous process of the last 6 thoracic vertebrae. Now we have reached the last part, the latissimus dorsis. It is a large triangular muscle posterior to the trapezius group. It arises from the midline in the thoracolumbar region and inserts on the proximal end of the humerus. Posterior deep muscles of the back in dorsal view. In dorsal view, the posterior deep muscles from the robust network supporting the spine and facilitating also its movement, just like the one before. These muscles, including the erector spinae group and deep intrinsic muscles, play a crucial role in maintaining posture, stability, and controlled movement of the back. Let's discuss venialis. It is a thin longitudinal band running parallel to the spine on either side. It is a part of the erector spinae group and aids in extension and stabilization of the vertebral column. On the right side of that lies the longissimus. It is a prominent segmented band extending along the length of the spine in both sides. This is vital for spinal extension, lateral flexion, and stabilization. On the left side, we can see the iliacostalis. It is located lateral to the longissimus muscle group and runs parallel to the spine. It appears as a series of segmented bands extending from the sacrum to the thoracic region, where it attaches to the ribs. Lastly, the multifidus. It is a deep muscle located along the spine. Its purpose is to stabilize and control the vertebral column, aiding in a movement such as twisting and bending.
The nervous system acts as a communication network for the human body, coordinating many functions and responses to internal and external stimuli. The purpose of this lab experiment was to present the key concepts behind the structure and function of the nervous system. The nervous system, comprising the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, is essential for regulating and coordinating various physiological processes within the human body. It functions through the transmission of electrochemical signals along specialized cells called neurons. In this activity, it shows a model of the nervous system. Let us remember that the nervous system is divided into two main divisions, which are the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of the brain and spinal cord, while the peripheral nervous system is composed of spinal nerves, the dorsal root ganglia, the somatic nerves, and the cranial nerves. The central nervous system integrates and processes information received from sensory organs and coordinates motor responses, while the peripheral nervous system transmits information between the central nervous system and the rest of the body, including sensory input and motor output. This picture is a prepared slide of spinal cord smear under the microscope. As you can see in this picture, there is a purple star-shaped structure, and these are the neuron cell bodies of multipolar neurons. There is a clearer picture below me to further understand what are the other different structures, specifically the cell bodies, the nucleus, and the axon hillock. Mainly, the neuron has three main parts, which are the axon, dendrites, and neuron cell body. The receptive end is either a dendrite or the neuron cell body. Dendrites derive from the word dendros, which means tree. Neuron cell bodies consist of the neoplasm, mini cell bodies, and the nucleus. The knee cell bodies exhibit a reticular or granular appearance reflecting the presence of endoplasmic reticulum and ribosomes. The triangular region is the axon hillock and it leads to the axon that exits the neuron cell body. As you can see, axons consist of long strands of neurofibrils wrapped in myelin sheath. Here, we begin to examine the four neuron shapes. This includes the multipolar neuron, bipolar neuron, pseudounipolar neuron, and an axonic neuron. The multipolar neuron consists of several dendritic processes, a single neuron cell body, and a single axon. The bipolar neurons have two poles in the neuron cell body. The dendrites receive information and conduct it to one pole of the neuron cell body. At the other pole, an axon leaves the neuron cell body and transmits impulse away. It is located in nerves and conducts the sense of smell and vision. Meanwhile, the pseudonuclear neurons have a cell body with a single process attached to it. The sensory receptors which receive impulses and travel to the neuron cell body. It sends impulses to the axon which transmits information. Somatic sensory nerves are pseudonuclear neurons. Lastly, the axonic neurons are found in the brain and retina. They consist only of dendrites and nerve cell bodies. In the synapses activity, it takes about zero point 0.3 seconds to move a finger after receiving a verbal signal. It is due to the reason that neurons communicate by signal molecules that flow across a short space between the neurons. That space is called the synapse. The synapse acts as a crucial junction where the neurons transmits information electrochemically along the length of the axon to the presynaptic terminal. The molecules such as acetylcholine that moves across the synapse are called neurotransmitters. This picture represents the prepared slide of a nerve longitudinal section under high power. The axon fibers are long dark strands. The clear or white areas on each side of axon fibers are myelin sheath. The Schwann cells are also known as neurolemmacytes are dark violet. And remember, this is the common glia of the peripheral nervous system. The gap between them is the nous of Ranvier, which cells wrap around the axon, leaving thin regions. We mentioned that the common glia in the peripheral nervous system, which is the neurolemmacytes. On the other hand, the glia of the central nervous system are oligodendrocytes, astrocytes, microglia, and ependymal cells. I'll give you a brief explanation of what these are. Oligodendrocytes are cells that produce myelin, often wrapped around several neurons. Astrocytes are branch glia that nourish neurons and provide a barrier between the nervous system and the blood. Microglia are small phagocytic glia. Lastly, ependymal cells line with ventricles of the brain and serve as a barrier between the fluid in the area and the nervous tissue.
Good day, everyone. Our discussion will be all about the Activity 17, which entitled Spinal Cord and Somatic Nerves. Spinal cords receive sensory information and transmit motor information to the spinal nerves, which connect to the body as somatic nerves. And our objective for this exercise is we should be able to demonstrate the major regions in a cross-section of the spinal cord, identify the least and all the parts in the longitudinal aspect of the spinal cord, and list the major nerves that arise from each pulsus. And the last objective is we should be able to name all the major nerves of the upper and lower limb. In longitudinal aspect of the spinal cord, there are three major parts, which is the conus medullaris, filum terminale, quadra equina. Conus medullaris, this is the terminal end of the spinal cord, and this typically occurs at the L1 in the average adult, while filum terminale is a connective tissue that is attached and is used to connect conus medullaris and conchaecs. Quadra equina, the neural continuation of the spinal cord, is an extension of parallel nerve fibers in the lumbar and sacral region, and this resembles a horse's tail. While the spine has a couple of expansion in two locations, the cervical enlargement and lumbosacral enlargement. Cervical enlargement is located at C3 to T2 because of the nerve that supplies the upper limb, while the lumbosacral enlargement is located at about T7 to T11 because of the nerves that supplies the lower limbs. Cross-section of spinal cord. The gray matter, white matter, ventral horns, and dorsal horns. The gray matter, which appears as the H shape or butterfly in the middle of the spinal cord. There are additional sections of gray matter, which are the lateral gray horns, gray commissure, central canal. Lateral gray horns contains autonomic motor neuron cell bodies, and gray commissure, a crossbar that connects gray matter to others, and central canal is the middle of the gray commissure, which runs the length of the spinal cord. White matter is located on the periphery of the cord, and this divided into tracts or fasciculi, which take sensory information to the brain or motor information from the brain. There are two types of tracks, which is the ascending and descending tracks. Ascending tracks take sensory information to the brains, while descending tracks receive motor information. And there are tracks that bundle together into larger units, which is called columns. Ventral horns and dorsal horns. This is the division of gray matter, which is ventral horns is rounded horns, and this sends motor signals to the spinal cord. While the dorsal horns, which is the narrow horns, this area receives sensory information from the somatic nerves. Cervical and brachial plexus nerves. Cervical plexus, this has many nerves that supplies the head and neck muscle. There are two nerves that came from cervical plexus, ansa cervicalis and phrenic nerve. Ansa cervicalis is the unusual feature of the cervical plexus, which forms a loop in the plexus. Phrenic nerve, an important nerve that comes from the cervical plexus. This runs to the diaphragm and is responsible for its contraction in breathing. Brachial plexus has branches from C5 to T1, leads the nerves that primarily supply to the upper limb. Brachial plexus has 5 nerves: axillary nerve, radial nerve, musculocutaneous nerve, ulnar nerve, and median nerve. Axillary nerve is a major nerve that supplies to the upper shoulder, while radial nerve mostly supply nerves to the extensors of the hand. Musculocutaneous nerve innervates the muscle that flex the arm and forearms. Ulnar nerves, it involves some flexors and many hand muscle. Median nerve serves important hand and forearm flexors. Sacral plexus. Sacral plexus, this takes the sensory information from the brain and motor information to the lower limbs. Sciatic nerve, composed of 2 nerves, the tibial nerves and common fibular nerve that innervates the leg and foot.
For our conclusion, this post-laboratory session has deepened our understanding of the intricate interplay between muscles and the nervous system, highlighting their vital contributions in human physiology. By comprehending these concepts, we are better equipped to recognize and analyze deviations from normal functioning, fostering a deeper understanding of physiological processes and their potential impact on health and well-being. As we conclude our post-laboratory, our exploration of the activities broaden our knowledge to set the stage for future investigations in the dynamic field of the future. Remember to utilize and build upon these foundational concepts as you continue understanding the intricacies of the human body systems. Thank you for your attention and active participation throughout this session. Remember to stay curious and keep seeking knowledge to deepen your understanding of this complex system. So we will leave you a call for you to ponder on When the Atmosphere Encouraged Learning, The Learning is Inevitable by Elizabeth Foss. Good luck for our upcoming examinations.